Alright guys, so we've just released the hamstring or the posterior chain there. Now our next step is to address our quads. Now the biggest thing that we find in the industry is that quad length is one of the biggest injuries or biggest limitation that we see in athletic performance and training. A lot of quad tightness actually leads to a lot of posture imbalances. So what we're going to do is show you a very important stretch which we love to utilize here. There's multiple different stretches, but these are probably our top favorites that we're going to use. So Crystal, she's used to me nagging her all the time in her training for stretching. So let's see if she's been stretching. So what we're going to do is we're going to run you guys through our quad stretch. So Crystal, do you want to go and do the honors? So, yep, so we're going to face out the front way away from the bench. That's it. Yeah, just face that way. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to place one foot up on the bench. So you don't want to have your whole foot hanging over the bench. What we're going to look for is just your tip of your toes and kind of the front part of your foot on there. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to go straight down in a vertical position. A lot of people will go forward at the knee. What we want to do is go actually vertically down. As you can see here in her posture, what we're looking for is the maximum stretch is through this line of movement, which is the quad. As you can see here, this is quite tight, but as you can see in her posture, she's vertically straight. There's no slanting backwards or any forward. So this is the first part of our stretch that we look for. All right, as you can see, her heel is touching her glute here. So you can see there's no limitation in the pelvis or in the quad as such. So that's exactly what we want to look for. A lot of people, just for example, go forward for me at the knee. A lot of people might be slightly about this far away from their heel or even struggle. A lot of people might actually be bent over at the knee because it's physically so painful that they get the pulling sensation through the front hip flexor here. All right. What you want to do is you want to just slowly just correct, hold, focus on that deep breathing and get that body to touch the heel whilst the upper body is vertically straight in line with that quad. All right, at the same time, me as the coach, what we do is we're actually analyzing here the hip position. So in the hip position, what we're looking for is that there's no slanting or any tilt of concern. If there's any tilt of concern, the body is a very smart mechanism. So if there's any sign of tightness, the body would generally oppose that tightness and actually show it in the alignment of the posture. So what we're looking for is that she's nicely proportioned, there's no tilt, interior, and as it looks by here, she's on point. All right, the next step is once you get to this position in this stretch is, Crystal, I'm gonna get you to put your hands behind your head. All right, what we're gonna do is we're gonna focus on stretching through the hip flexors here. So her midsection is gonna be firm and straight. Now what we're gonna do is create that tilt and we're gonna push forward at the knee. So as you can see, she's not rounding her spine. A bit painful there. Yep, all right, so now she can start to see that sensation I can feel in her posture. She's getting that tightness. So this is where the quad is really getting the stretch. So now in this middle of the stretch here, we've taken the focus off the top load of the quad. And we've now directed it up into here and traveling through the hip flexor. So this is a very key stretch because generally what happens is as soon as the quads tighten, what's gonna happen is it's gonna draw the hip flexors in and you'll see the pelvis tilt. Now, if there's an imbalance in the forces of the hamstring or the posterior chain or the development, what you'll see is it will directly go forward and that pelvis will tilt. If there's a positive energy on both sides, the pelvis will remain flat. So this is why it's super important to understand the biomechanics of an individual and ensure that we address this. Now, a lot of athletes don't actually address their quad lengthening or any concerns of stretching prior to their training. So what they're doing is they're just preconditioning the body into that same rhythm or that same pattern that the body's just gonna get used to it, and that's where we find issues occurring. All right, so the whole time here, she's straight, she's not rounding through the thoracic spine, open up the midsection, and that way it's all tight on here. All right, she's held that for quite a while now, so what we're gonna do is swap legs and do the same thing again.